What up? This is Luke for Prez, back with yet another video. This is number 3, where I am in front of the camera, and I gotta say, it's getting a little easier. I still kind of hate it, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. We gotta do it. So today, I'm gonna be making a video for the beginners, or people that haven't even started. What this video is going to be about is, what do you need to start producing? And the answer is not a whole lot. All right, take care, guys. That's it. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But really, it's not a whole lot. It's probably less than people anticipate. I'm gonna break down the bare necessities for getting started as a music producer, and then I'm going to give a couple little bonus suggestions as well that aren't necessary to actually get your feet wet, but will go a long way, and the quicker that you can implement those things, the quicker you're gonna make more progress as a producer. So that's basically what I'm gonna talk about today in this video. Do the like and subscribe thing. I'm gonna remind you guys earlier in the video this time, see if that has any impact. That part is still extremely awkward for me, but you know what? It is what it is. We'll get there eventually. Before I begin, I think one thing that I really just want to touch on is the importance of starting as a music producer. If you have an inkling that this is something that you might want to do, if this is something that you find intriguing, if this is something that you think you might be good at, or it might bring you creative fulfillment, just jump in. You don't want to be regretful. I think it's very difficult for a lot of people to find their passions in life. And I think that most people never find what they're extremely passionate about. And most people end up just getting a job that they don't necessarily enjoy, but it's something that they can tolerate. I think you owe it to yourself to explore as many avenues in life as possible in an effort to find your passion. And that's what I finally was able to do with music production, and I'm so happy that I did take that first step eventually, because it really is my passion. I love it. I've never been happier in my entire life since I've started, and you know, I still have a huge mountain to climb. I still have extremely lofty goals for my career. Future placement. But anyways, that's what I encourage you to do. If this is something that you're thinking about, I strongly encourage you to go ahead and give it a try. And I'm gonna show you exactly, you know, how simple it is really to get started and start making things happen as a music producer. So, with all that being said, number 1, the first thing that you need in order to start producing music, and it's a very obvious one, it's a reliable computer. Doesn't matter if it's a desktop or a laptop, but I actually encourage you to get your setup going on a laptop. It's more portable, obviously. You can cook up on the go, and most importantly, it will make you comfortable cooking up in a studio with potential artists that you could be working with. That's basically how like all the A-list producers work, where, you know, they bring their laptop to the studio, they cook up on the spot, you know, as people are recording, and a lot of placements happen just because somebody was able to make a beat up on the spot in the studio. So that's number 1. Number 2 is a DAW, or DAW. This stands for Digital Audio Workstation. You've probably heard the term if you've done any research on music production whatsoever. This is the piece of software that you install onto your computer that allows you to make beats, or to just produce music in general. It doesn't even have to necessarily be limited to hip hop by any stretch. You can make any type of music on a DAW. There are a number of industry standard DAWs, 3 in particular that I think are the most popular. There is FL Studio, which is the DAW of choice for most hip hop and trap producers today. It's used by people like Metro Boomin, Southside, Murda Beats, just to name a few. It's probably far and away the most popular for hip hop producers. Martin Garrix also uses FL Studio in kind of the EDM realm. Another one is Logic. That is the program for Apple. That's actually what I use. That's used by people like Ronnie J, Calvin Harris, just to name a couple. And then also there is another program called Ableton. Ableton is used by people like Diplo, Skrillex, Flume. So the question becomes, which DAW is right for you? And I know that can be a stumbling block. I actually did a ton of research initially when I was getting started and felt a little bit overwhelmed just by all the choices. Those are 3 examples, but there's actually many more on the market as well. The answer is it doesn't really matter. Especially with the 3 that I just mentioned, they all basically do the same thing. Where the differences come into play is in workflow and how things are laid out. But as far as one being better than another, they're really on par with each other as far as capabilities are concerned. So it's gonna come down to what workflow is best for you. The great news is there's a ton of content on YouTube for all of these different DAWs. So you can watch some, maybe get a feel for which one might be right for you, and kind of go from there. But it really doesn't matter. It's not about the DAW, it's about how you use it. But those are the top 3 again, just to summarize: FL Studio, Logic, and Ableton. So those are really the only 2 components that are absolutely essential to get started. You need a reliable computer, preferably a powerful laptop, and you need a DAW. And just to get started and get your feet wet, you can use your DAW's stock sounds while you're learning and just getting a basic feel for how things work and how that program works that you're using. So now I'm gonna talk about some specific add-ons that I think will be very valuable to just your overall music production setup. So the first thing that I think is the most essential outside of the 2 initial components that I mentioned is getting yourself some good speakers. As you can see behind me, I actually have the KRK Rocket 5s. Those are really good for mixing. They have tons of positive reviews online. That's actually why I went with these. Ultimately, as you go, I think you should invest not only in some good speakers, but also some good headphones. When I'm mixing, I try to listen to my beats with as many different types of speakers as possible. So I'll start my mixing with using my Rockets, then I'll switch over to my headphones, I'll play the beat in my car. I just want to make sure it's leveled and balanced correctly across multiple speakers, because everybody's setup is going to be different. They're going to be listening to you on different devices. There's no way to make your beat sound perfect on every speaker that exists, but the more speakers you can listen to your beats on, the better. The second thing that, again, is not essential to start, but it has really helped me and is relatively affordable, is a MIDI keyboard. You can see I got the a.k.a. MPK Mini here. It's just like $100. It's not a huge investment, but I use it literally with every single beat I make. It's really great. Instead of having to kind of plug notes in using the standard keyboard that comes with your computer, this gives you a lot more freedom to go ahead and record melodies and get your piano game popping. But you can, set this up to where it's tied to whatever sound you want. So I program my drums with this. I do everything with it. It's made my life easier since I bought it. It's a great investment. I definitely recommend some kind of MIDI keyboard when you get to that. The last thing comes down to the sounds that you use. So again, when you're just getting started, you might want to go ahead and play around with the stock sounds that exist within your DAW. But when you're ready to take things to the next level, there are a number of resources online where you can go and get high quality, professionally mixed sounds. Whether those are kick drums, 808s, anything you can think of. Snares, you name it. Those exist online in a number of ways, and I'll break down the different ways that you can access these. And if you're on a budget, there are free drum kits available to download. Reddit actually has a subreddit devoted specifically to drum kits. In my experience, that's a little bit hit and miss, and a lot of the kits that you'll find online, if you just Google it, are pirated. So be careful about that. You always want to support the producers that make these. So, I would go through the proper channels to acquire drum kits. If you have a favorite producer, chances are they have a drum kit available, and they're usually only like $20, $30, and you'll get high quality sounds that are actually used by those top producers. So that's the first way. Another way that you can get high quality sounds in your library for a low cost is a service called Splice. It's amazing. It is a monthly subscription fee. I believe it's $8 a month. But for that $8 a month, you get access to an extensive library of sounds, samples, vocal chops, everything you can possibly think of. And a lot of the sounds are actually curated by top producers in not only hip hop, but EDM and across the board. It is an absolutely incredible resource that I utilize on an ongoing basis to just kind of spice up my beats. And I can't recommend it enough. I think it's $8 well spent if you're gonna be taking this music thing more seriously. Additionally, there are a number of VSTs that exist. Now this is where you're gonna get into a little bit more of a pricier territory, but things like Omnisphere, Contact are really good for just enhancing your sound library and getting really professional, nice sounding sounds. Keyscape is a really good one for a piano sound to get realistic pianos. There's a ton of them. Do your own research, figure out what kind of sounds you're trying to go for, and then look into these different VSTs. And you know, that's something that you can kind of build over time, because like I said, a lot of these are pretty expensive, so you don't have to just come out the gate and get all of these at once. First of all, get to know your DAW and the stock components that are there, and then as you go, you'll understand what's missing, what sounds you're trying to emulate, and that will help guide your process in locating VSTs that'll be really good for you. Just to kind of wrap things up and summarize, you need a reliable computer and you need a DAW. Those are the two components that are must-haves to get started with music production. And then as you go, make sure that you're investing in good speakers for mixing, good sounds and VSTs, and then also a MIDI keyboard. And there's many other pieces of technology out there, but those are really kind of the bare bones that I think is, at least in my experience, what's pretty essential to get started and really make progress as a music producer. So that's basically it, guys. Again, what I really want to stress, I know there's a lot of information to learn when you're just starting out and it can feel overwhelming, but I promise the more time that you put into it, it's gonna become so much easier, and all you have to do is just start. The hardest part is just starting. Trust me, I dabbled in music production when I was in high school, and it took me way longer than I would like to admit for me to actually start taking it seriously. Like, way longer. Like, I don't even want to tell you. I'm talking like borderline a decade. I'm old now. You don't want to be like me and you're over the hill by the time you're starting. Don't do it. Trust me. So get started as soon as you can. You know, the best time, this is what I tell myself, the best time to start was 10 years ago, but the second best time to start is right now. So keep that in mind. I wish you guys luck. Let me know in the comments what video you'd like to see next, or if you have any specific questions on anything that I covered in this video. I'm happy to help. Do the like and subscribe thing. I need it. I need it for the algorithms. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.